Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this day with Quimper, Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'd like to take a moment to ask everybody to, you know what I'm going to ask, right? Cell phones, make them, put them in prayer mode. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, whomever you love, and whatever your faith tradition, you are welcome here. My name is Galm, and I'm a member here at QUUF, and I'd like to begin this service by acknowledging that the water, land, and shorelines here in Port Townsend are the traditional territory of the Sklallam and Chimicum peoples. We honor and acknowledge our Indigenous members and neighbors and vow to help restore and sustain these homelands. As we call in our time together, let us settle our minds, calm our hearts with the ringing of the chime. It's good to be together. I'd like to welcome Doug Rodgers now, who will lead us in our prelude call to community. Please rise in body or spirit. Thank you, Doug and Pat. Please join me now in our chalice lighting words. They were written by Summer Albiati.
In betwixt and in between, we move in the liminal spaces. To move into that time of this and that, and not this, that, with patience and faith and love and hope, that this time will pass like the sun that moves in between rising and setting, reminding us that beauty resounds in betwixt and in between. Beautiful.
Okay, this is for you.
Okay. So our opening words are titled Bell Song by Merge Percy. Ah, the body. It is the great bronze bell. It looks solid, inert, asleep. It hangs there. Something no breeze even tips. Something no casual touch can wake. But when it moves, when it is rung, the sound waves pass through the walls. It vibrates down into the bedrock. The air itself rolls and surges that makes the bones resound. For a while, everything is realigned. New magnetic poles in the spine and the fingertips. Then the body tolls. This is what I am for me. Peel me again, again, and again. Oh, here's your book. Sorry, dear heart.
So this is you, kiddo.
Welcoming.
Yeah, opening words. Oh, you did that.
Oh, am I doing this?
No. We're new at this. We apologize. Thank you for your patience.
We're both doing this.
We are.
Yes.
But we'd like to welcome, what we'd like to do now is acknowledge and welcome, I can do this, welcome those of you who are visiting us this morning. And if you are online with us, you're invited to say hello in the comments section and tell us your name and where you're from. If you are attending in person, please rise or raise your hand so that we may welcome you. Welcome. Wow, look at that. All righty. Great. Welcome, everyone. We are glad you are with us today. We'll now receive the offering. Is up? Okay, all right. Which today goes to support QUUF, our building staff and programs. If you'd like to donate to our programming, we have options. Ushers will come among you in person and receive the offering. Or you can text the amount you'd like to give to the number now showing on your screen. You can go to our website, QUUF.org, and click on the giving link, or simply mail a check to QUUF. Please remember to put offering in the memo line. We will now gratefully receive your offering as we listen to Pat Rodgers play Good Night, Dear Heart by Dan Forrest.
This is now our time for joys and sorrows, recognizing that our personal joys and sorrows are only a fragment of the joys and sorrows of the larger community of life. And thus, we place this first stone, thinking in particular of those who have lost their lives or their loved ones to the continued gun violence in our country. We hold all of our joys and sorrows as a community together, taking this time to recognize the things we are carrying in our hearts and on our hearts. And so we place a final stone, thinking of such joys and sorrows among us that are unexpressed. I invite you now into a moment of silence.
You remember those cell phones I told you about? Maybe it's the divine calling.
I believe it was. Waking up the amnesia of wellness. There is a cell that lives within us that truly remembers wholeness, that has recorded in itself our inherent wisdom of how to live in wellness, how to live healthy, and how to live in contentment. For years and years, we've all been teaching and hearing and reading that wherever we put our attention is what we create. And I have noticed with myself and others that most of the attention of our going toward wholeness is through looking at what is not whole, what is not ready and willing, what is not yet done. But today, I wish to speak to that cell that remembers, to speak to it in its own language, in its own rhythm, that it may pulsate and vibrate to move and spread through more cells, more dimensions, and start a revolution, an evolution, a call to awaken. Wake up, hello in there. Are you alone in there? Are you home in there? Wake up and listen to me. I need you to see you make a difference to me. I'm going to awe you, and I'm going to call you, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make you awe me. I know that once upon a time, to be blind was sublime, was the way to survive. Wake up. I'm not saying it's too late, or that it's even your fate, but I'm just wondering if you're tired of having to fake that you're not awake. I can hear you singing joyfully. I can feel you hugging yourself. I can smell your senses as you exude sweet thoughts to you and to yours. I know you're in there, whole and well, and I know that for so long you've been afraid I'd tell that we are truly well, that we do love ourselves, that we are fine and couldn't complain about a thing, but then, what would all the others think? That we are for sure in blind denial, delusion, illusion, idealistic, definitely not facing reality. The habit is great to be sick. The support is there, if you please. You see, I make my living on this disease, and how and why could I displease so many by my release of sleep? My greatest fear is that you will know I am well, and you will not need me anymore. You will not feed me anymore. My greatest fear is that I am well, and I cannot find anyone else to admit that they are also. The risk of being well is the warrior of the future, is the belly warrior, is the heart warrior, is the willingness to see well. One little cell is all that it takes to change and to rearrange one's entire fate, one's entire notion and quotient within the vast ocean of self. This is from Tuning the Blues to Gold. I wrote this in 1980s sometime, in the well cell. The well cell. I think that's me.
We do our little dance. And I would like to introduce Vickie Dodd. She's the founder of Sacred Soundworks, and she's an internationally known pioneer in the field of sound and bodywork. She's an Aston patterning teacher, author, poet, nutritionist, herbalist, workshop leader, and musician, and she's one of my best friends. Doesn't say that here, but I can say that. She started using sound as a healing modality in her work with her clients over 50 years ago. She has trained with many masterful teachers in the art of body therapies and spiritual purification tools. The essence of Vickie's work is a multidimensional approach to using sound as an evolutionary tool, emphasizing maturation of the emotional body. Vickie's created sound school trainings in Zurich, Switzerland, Buenos Aires, Chicago, San Francisco, Boulder, Colorado, and on the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State. She's founded the Institute of Music and Health Education with Don Campbell and Jonathan Goldman in Boulder, Colorado, and in the early 1990s. Ms. Dodd's most recent book will be released March 2024 from Findhorn Press and Inner Traditions, Healing with Sound, Sound Awakens. I give you Vickie Dodd.
It's me.
It's you, kiddo.
What do we do now?
Your sermon.
Oh, my sermon. Oh, my sermon. Oh, blessed be my sermon. What's not written here. So, well, I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Allie and John. And, okay, thank you. Thank you. So, it's called How to Mind My Own Business and Stay Where My Feet Are. Well, this actually takes me to a story of how this came about. And I have to kind of joke to myself and to you, because when I set this up, I hadn't fallen. And about several weeks ago, I fell because I wasn't watching where my feet were. I wasn't where my feet are. I was someplace else. I was, next week. I was over there. I was talking to someone else. I wasn't where my feet are. Can I get to where my feet are? Where are my feet? I don't know where my feet are. I lost my footing. Where am I? How do I get there? So it's a constant thing to have to bring myself back home. Come on home. Come on back home. Get into your feet. So even as we're sitting here right now, or standing, however you want to be, let me just remember my feet. Even if I'm sitting, I can kind of just reach down. How many of you ever rode a bicycle? Yeah, sometime in your life, right? Or you've had kitty cats and they get on you, that's the kind of movement and aliveness. I mean, we have how many tens of thousands of nerve endings are at the soles of our feet. So there's this aliveness there, and the more that I kind of reach down or touch the earth, the floor, even with my shoes on, it doesn't matter. You know, they go right through. Let me just rest in there. Let me rest into the earth. Let me feel support. Let me get to where my feet are. So as we're sitting here today, let's get to where our feet are. Every so often, just bring yourself to your feet. Let me bring up, you know. So I had a big teaching the other day, several weeks ago. I wasn't where my feet were at all. And I don't know. Sometimes you just don't know. But I fell. And it's been now the last few weeks of getting myself back into my feet. Back into my feet. Well, this sort of begins. I was working, I just finished working about a month-long teaching in Switzerland. This is several years ago now. And it had been very successful. Everything had gone well. I'd had, my host had treated me well. I had good pillows, basics. I had good pillows. Everything had gone well. The students, everybody was happy. We'd all gotten what we needed and liked, and it was joyful. And I'd made some money. It was Switzerland, And well, maybe you don't know, but there's money at some places. And anyway, it was good. Life was good. And so now I was on my few days off before I came back to the States. But I was visiting with some friends that lived out in the country, just not too far from Germany. You could walk from Switzerland into Germany on these wonderful trails. And I was going to take a nice walk. Because, it was a beautiful day. I was free. I was done. Everything had happened, gone well. You know that kind of feeling, like, And, but I checked my emails just before I went out for this walk. And it was some friends of this and this and this, and successes here and successes there, and it was nice. So I'm walking, and all of a sudden, I start thinking about that affair I had 40 years ago. I shouldn't have had that one. And then that other person, and then if I would have only done that, and if I hadn't have said that, I'm 30 years in the past, 40 years in the past, I'm 30 years in the future, and this beautiful day that I was having within a very short time was over. Really over. It was so fast. My life now sucks, I want you to know. I have no interest in anything. It's awful. Now, this happened really from a very beautiful, beautiful place. And I know some of you know that, how it can flip so blooming quickly. So now my life sucks. I don't care about a thing. But I had these beautiful pair of red leather shoes that I had just gotten because I'd been in Portugal. I don't know if you've ever been in Portugal, but if you got small feet, it's the place to go. And inexpensive shoes. It was wonderful, great leather. So I had these red leather shoes on. Now, this is important to remember this. My life sucks. I got the red leather shoes on, and I'm walking, and everything's over. It doesn't matter, any success of a few minutes ago. And there's this big field next to me. It's been plowed up, but it's hard. It's been plowed a while ago, but it's still in big lumps. And I'm pausing there for a moment, and I look across, and there's this big oak tree on the other side of this field, and it kind of was doing this. Come over here. Come over here. Well, it's across this field. I got these brand new red leather shoes on, but my life sucks now. It doesn't matter anyway. So, quick, right? And so I walk through this field. My shoes are getting all scratched up because I don't know what to do any longer. I'm so done. My life is no longer successful as it was 5 minutes earlier, And I get there I am transported into a whole nother frame. I don't know what happened, but something happened in a very short time. I get to that oak tree. I fall down onto its feet, onto its roots. I'm I'm saying, I'm just so done. I am so tired of always getting to this place. I'm so tired of I've always, oh, I'm just miserable. And this is sincere, I really was, and I know some of you have been there. I am miserable, I give up, I give. And so I hadn't noticed, but there was also a birch tree and a willow by the oak. And so I've told all of my sorrows, all of my problems. I mean, this tree became like this confessor for me. It's like whatever I wanted to call it, but and it just paused. And basically I heard, I have to talk to my friends. And I could see the oak kind of conferring with the willow, and then the whatever the birch tree I think was, and then they come back because the oak is doing all the talking. And he says, okay, here's what we would do. I had no idea that they knew what to do, and so I was just, yes, I'll do anything. And they said, we mind our own business. I'm serious. Doug, that's the truth. That is what it said. We mind our own business. And at that moment, my nervous system that had been out there 30 years ago, 30 years in the future, with this relative, with that ancestor, wherever I was, and all those worries and concern, it was, those vacuum cleaners where you like push that little thing and it goes, right? Comes right back into it, those cords. Well, it was like that. My nervous system went brought back into my body in a moment where all I had been, literally that strung out, it is literal, it is physical. We do get strung out. My nervous system was strung outside of me. It was in everybody else's business. It was not in my own business. I was hurting me, sacrificing my own vitality. Well, I didn't know that, right? When I'm inside of that, when I'm inside that kind of insanity, I don't know. But I was being restored. Those trees were restoring me back into my own nervous system. Maybe some of it, maybe for the first time in this life. Because I don't think it had just started, because I had learned a long time ago that if I wanted to know what was going on and how to protect myself, I thought I had to have my nervous system all strung out all over the place, so I always would know who's behind me, who's beside me, what's going on over here. What do you need? Maybe you need something. Oh, am I safe? I didn't know that I could have my nervous system into my own body. And if my nervous system wasn't into my own body, I couldn't even think about being in my feet. My feet were always someplace else. They were always in yesterday or tomorrow. So this became one of the, I don't know if I'm communicating what a life change took place in a very short time, of even having the experience of having my nervous system back in my own body. Now, I had been teaching for years and years the psychological example of codependency, but I had never until that moment seen the physicality of codependency and how deep it was in my body. And I knew from working with thousands and thousands and thousands of other people that there was nothing unique about my body, that it was probably quite an epidemic, and that, we could learn to bring our nervous system back into our body. And one of the ways that I started being able to sustain that was with my own hum. So taking my own hum, which I'm even going to suggest some of you might want to do that. You got your feet onto the floor. You got that hum coming up from your feet. And you just take your own voice and you start hum, 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 if you close your eyes, no one can hear you. Hum, hum, hum. And then I would start taking my hands, hum, like right, kind of showing my nervous system where I wanted to come back home, home, come home, come home, hum, 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 hum. Our body loves the sound of our voice loving on it. It truly, truly does. Your hum, our sounds, our food, it's a nutrition. So we can feed ourselves. And we don't even have to do it out loud if we don't want. I can do it silently. No one needs to know what I'm doing. I used to travel a great deal with my work, and planes are a wonderful place to hum because it matches. So no one would ever hear me because that sound permeates the cabins, right? So, but I would keep that going, soothing my nervous system. Come on home, come on home. And that our hum is probably one of the easiest ways to truly soothe our own nervous systems, And, I just started to say, are there any questions? I'm so used to teaching. This would be a time for there might be a question or comment. Oh, there is.
Can you stay for an extended coffee hour so we can hum with you?
Oh, sure. I absolutely will stay for an extended coffee hour to hum with you. Anyway, our bodies truly do believe everything that we say to ourselves. And I know through the years, in the 60s and 70s when I first heard that, I became very conscious of what I would say to myself. But then I started noticing by the 90s or the 2000s or the 2020s, 2020, I got sloppier and sloppier. I started acting again as if I could say or think whatever I wanted to think or say. Oh, God, you're looking so old. Oh, my goodness gracious, look at you. It's like, whew. So I'm so grateful to be here today and remember, wait a minute. My body believes everything that I say, and why would I want to treat me that way? Because it comes in and it stays in. And that's another thing that the hum then can do for me. After I've done something like that, I can hum it, and then it can start soothing it again, because the hum allows my body to get liquid again. Because what happens when I hurt myself, or when I'm hearing, I'm reading the newspaper or the news or something like that, I can get still, I can get frozen, and I don't even know it, and then anything can come in then. I lose my resiliency. So if I can stay with some kind of movement going on inside my body, and the hum is so effortless, let's do it again together. All right. 1 and a 2 and a hum, hum, hum. And you can guide it wherever you're just wanting to take your sound. Hum, hum, But your voice, what our voices do effortlessly, is that they keep a movement going on inside this liquid terrain. We want to stay liquid. Hildegard Bingham, I don't know if this is true or not, but it's said that she wrote to everyone, right? She wrote to all the popes. She wrote to everybody. She had a lot of opinions. Do you all know who I mean when I say Hildegard de Bingham? She was an incredible mystic, philosopher, herbalist, scholar of many forms. And she would, real or imagine, she would close her letters saying, "Stay juicy." Right? Now, so today we laugh at that, right? But basically it's saying, stay liquid. Stay wet. We want to stay liquid. Liquid is a state of health. What happens when we stop being liquid or get congested is when our illness comes, right? So if you can keep some form of movement, and your hum will really create just a gentle movement going on, it helps us stay juicy. So, well, blessed be, thank you for this time together.
So we're going to extinguish the...
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm going to extinguish.
No, I'm going to.
Oh,
I think, right? Or do you do it? Who does it? Doesn't matter.
just,
We're going to extinguish the chalice, and you're going to read the words.
oh, okay. We extinguish our flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And then next week, Ali Galm will be speaking on the topic of story as truth. We hope you can join us. Our postlude today is prayer sounding, performed by Vickie Dodd, John, and Ali Galm.
That's it.
Okay. I didn't hear this, but
Oh, the CD didn't happen. Ah, oh dear. Okay. I think they forgot the CD.
Oh, so we're gonna just do,
I'm sorry.
we're just gonna start?
I think
Yeah.
we're just going to start.
Why don't we start?
Sorry that you missed the CD.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Vickie.
You know the song, you can sing along. Hello, yo, no way, lo, way, yo, no way, hello, jelly way, hello, no, na, yellow, no, yem, no, yellow, shallow, no, na, yeah, no, yeah. Shon no more na honey na ye way shon away yo lo le by ya ya Ela maha atoya. Isha katana na maha ala. Isha bata hu undi ela tia. Isha katana na maha otayana. Isha laba hu ondaya. Ela na he yamne. Do your hum na he. Isha na we. Shela na. Shela we na we. Shela na we. Shale hu ne hu ne ya me. Shao na hu ya. Shehu ma na na. We ya won ni ya wa. Shin na we. Shin ne we. She ya. She ya. She ya. Yeah.